So what did you like most out of that today? It's probably a few things.
I was really proud of the boys. They handled everything. You know, we knew it might rain. We knew Collingwood they're a fantastic side, premiers from last year. They beat us earlier in the year, close game. So we knew that it was going to be a huge challenge. And the way that the players handled it, they work rate. I thought, they left it all out there. And I was just enormously proud of the effort they put in to get that result.
You've had a lot of big scalps this year, but this felt extra significant given the occasion. It felt like an 8-point game in the middle of July, in the middle of winter. What does it do for the group?
I mean, I think if you look at our playing group, there's been slow build of belief. I think we've been working really hard on lots of parts of our game over a long period of time, and at the start of this season, we thought, there's some things that we're not quite getting right, and the players, to their credit, they just took control of it themselves, and they're just driving themselves and each other to a much higher standard than we have in the past, and that's what the good teams do. When you play against the very best teams, you hear them communicate with each other, and you know that they're pushing each other hard, and our players are doing that now. And I think when you go today and you're playing Collingwood at the MCG, being able to handle that occasion. We handled the dusty occasion earlier in the year, and then this was another opportunity where you're playing a big crowd, a lot of talk about it, a lot of eyeballs watching that game, and the players to handle it is just one step in the right direction for them, in the future games we're going to have that are hopefully bigger than this one.
How important were the days after the Gold Coast loss? Because a lot of people spoke about standards. You were 0-5 at the time, but how important was that for putting you in a position where you are now?
I think, I know I've said it a couple of times, but that was the moment when the players started to push each other and themselves. And so I think, from a coach's point of view, I don't think on the peripheral of the playing group we've done a lot differently since then, but the players have understood the importance of the detail. And I think the Sydney loss was a little bit similar, where when we went away from things that we have trained, we knew we were going to be average at best. And now, we talked after the game about who didn't get something right and got that feedback from a teammate, and they nearly all put their hand up, and then who celebrated a teammate, not a goal, but who celebrated something that a teammate did that we value, the detail in what we do. Whether that's a spoil out of bounds or, holding the front position from a surge kick in those conditions. We really appreciate and celebrate the detail and the small things which perhaps don't go on a stat sheet. And I think the players have a great understanding of how we want to play and how that looks. And so when we get it right, we know we can be quite potent, and we saw some of that today. And when we go away from it, we become vulnerable. And unfortunately, we're doing much more of the former at the moment.
Sam, your overlap handball today was really good. It really stood out. Was that by design, or was that a byproduct of how the game was played?
I think it was a challenging game for all of the players out there, both teams. It started off quite dry, a lot of rain, dried up a little bit, and then more rain again. So I think we had you're always balancing up territory and possession in every game. How much possession do you want to hold, and how much do you just want to take territory? And we knew that today was likely to be a territory-based game, and I thought we handled that really well. I think work rate to outnumber at a contest allows overlap, so it wasn't like it was by design. We just knew that if we had enough players around the ball that we might be able to get those opportunities. And it was interesting, actually. Brett Ratton, he mentioned in the coach's box, he goes, I don't want to change anything, but it's interesting because we're 1-to-1 kick to handball ratio, and we're looking out the window and it's raining, and you're thinking, in theory, that's not a great stat, but I don't want to touch anything. Keep your hands off the wheel, and whatever the players are doing, just let them keep doing it.
The forward line with obviously the wet weather looked really potent. You had your smalls in Ginnivan, Watson and Bruce hitting the scoreboard. When Kalshir went off, was that a thing that you were looking to try and make that forward line small?
Connor McDonald, I think he kicked 4 as well. So we knew that the smalls, on a wet day, the ruckman is vital because there's going to be extra stoppages, and talls really need to halve contest. So I was really happy with Kelsh's game. I thought he halved everything in the air. We know that they got some potent intercept marking types behind the ball, and I thought Kelshir did a great job of being able to halve the contest and just at least get it to ground. So he was cramping up, and it looked like he was cramping for longer than you would like. And he's still 18 years old, and we knew that Finn was going to give us some running power and gave us a bit of flexibility. And because we had a bit of a lead, you say, okay, how did Collingwood get back into this game? And two names come straight to me every time, Degoe and Dacos. And so not putting Finn on the ground, we thought he'd give us some contest in front of the ball, as well as have running power. Plus, we were able to send him to Nick for maybe 5 or 10 minutes when they looked like they had kicked a couple. So I think the forward structure worked really well today.
You spoke about halving contests. Marby or Joel had a great battle with Darcy Moore. Obviously, in the last quarter, Marvs kicks the 2 goals and gets some reward for his effort. How pleased were you with his effort tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Marms has been so consistent for us. And when he first got to the club, that was the first thing that we chatted about. We know your best is fantastic. And we just need to make sure that when it's not going your way, you're still producing something that helps the team. And full credit to him. I think he's of all the top players who are top tackles inside forward 50. If you look at the top 10, I think he's the only one over sort of 6'2", and he's 6'6". So what he's doing without the ball, it's great to look at the stat sheet and say he's kicked this many goals, but we look at the pressure and presence that he has and think he's been mostly very, very consistent through the year. He probably missed a couple of chances today that he would have liked to take. He could have really had a big day.
Jack Ginnivan couldn't have asked for a better game against his old club. Did you feel the energy that he brought into the game and also drew from the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Guinea is one of those players that the crowd love, the media loves to talk about, and in the preparation we didn't make much of him. We know he's important. We look more at what he does for us as a side. We know that he's been an important player for us across the year, and we've missed him the last couple of weeks. So to get him back, we knew it would bring a lot of energy, and the sense of theatre of the game was fantastic. And I think all of the 72,000 that game would have loved the theatre of the game today. But for us, it was really important that he played his role and did his job, and he did more than that. So I was rapt for him. I thought the forward line worked really well with him and Nick, Dylan and Connor. I think all of those guys played their roles really well, and we knew that the ground ball would be important in the front half, and thought we controlled that part of the game, and Luke Bruce was able to sort of finish off some of the work of those guys as well.
He wasn't a big possession winner when he was at Collingwood. What's he doing differently at Hawthorn that allows him to get 31 today? I mean, is he playing a different role? Has he got newfound maturity, playing him differently?
I mean, I think we obviously play a different system or different game style to Collingwood, and he probably fits into a different position. But I mean, he's 21 years old, so he's obviously a young, if you think about how long it feels like he's been around, how many times he's been on a back page or there's been a story about him, he seems like he's much older, but he's 21 years old, so he's still maturing, he's still growing into his footy, he's still learning how to handle different opposition, different situations, different roles. Still getting used to his teammates. He's only played, probably 15 or 17 games with the guys he's running around with, so he's going to continue to improve. But it's all come off the back of an enormous work ethic and a desire to prove that he can be a fantastic and well-rounded player and not a flash in the pan. And to his credit, in his halfway through his, 2/3 of the way through his first season with us, he's doing a lot right.
I think he has become a more rounded player in the time that he's.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, if you look at his role when he was at Collingwood, he was really important, and they play some different forwards to the way that we do, and obviously he's been successful. He's a premiership player at that club, so that's something that I know that he's enormously proud of, and he's got a lot of growth in his football, as every 21-year-old does. You look at all of our 21-year-old types, whether that's a Josh Ward, who I thought really stood up today after his stint in the VFL, whether it's Connor McDonald, who goes on to kick forward today. These are all young players that are continuing to grow and improve, and they're handling big situations. Like today, when they wake up today, every person that they see in their favourite coffee shop, when they walk down the street, they're all saying, "Oh, good luck today, we'll be watching, we're there." And they're all new challenges for our young players, and I'm rapt that they're handling those.
What about Nick Watson? How has he absorbed so much focus on his goal kicking at such a young age and turned it around in season? His last 4 kicks at goal have been straight.
5, because you'll be pretty quick to tell you that the one that Kelsha touched on the line would have been a goal last week as well. So, I mean, I think Nick he's an exciting player and has been since he was a kid, and he really still is a kid. He's only 19 now, so I think everyone has always been interested in the Wizard. You know, it's just one of those personalities. He's obviously, you know, close to the smallest player in the league, and he's an early draft pick, and he's been one of those players that everyone's been interested in, and so he's had, you know, a target on his back for his whole career, really, and that includes you know, his school footy and all those things. So he is probably more adept at handling pressure than most when they come in, and full credit to him. I mean, he's not perfect, and he's going to continue to grow in his game, but I'm wrapped with the work ethic that he's putting in to improve every part of his game. I mean, you guys will look at the goal kicking, but if you watch his first 3 or 4 involvements in the game today, they were phenomenal. Chase, pressure, work ethic. Our GPS today suggested that halfway through the third quarter, he'd already had his highest work rate game for the season. So, you know, he's getting better and better.
In the last quarter, you went into the midfield and you got a clearance. Is that something you're looking to see him do throughout the rest of the season?
No, that was a bit rogue, I think. So Dylan Moore, you know, Dylan has a bit of a license. He can go into the centre bounces and stay as a midfielder for a period of time if he likes. It's something we do. And he said, "Oh, Wiz, why don't you go and play my role for a few minutes?" And I was sitting next to Will Day on the bench, and I said, "Is that Nick Watson in the centre bounce?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." And sure enough, he gets the clearance, and all's well that ends well, obviously, in a game like today. So I was really pleased with his all-round game, and the players deserve an enormous amount of credit for how they handled the situation from today, because it was a big occasion for us. You know, Collingwood have been in lots of these, and we haven't been in as many. So I was rapt that they handled it with such maturity.
Thanks, Alice.